What was it like the first day in jail?
Uh,
Like, what's the process like? Do they shave your head? Do they like put you on an orange
Shave
junk?
your head, right?
Do
Isn't that
they?
what they do?
No, they don't
What-
shave your
do they
head.
tattoo some numbers in your arm? What are you
It's not
talking
like
about?
it's not like boot
shave?
camp.
No,
I thought
what-
they.
are
I
you
thought they
kidding
shaved your
me,
head.
man?
No,
It's not like military boot
really?
camp. Yeah.
Maybe I'm confusing the two. I thought
think
you
you're
just get there, they
confusing a
shave
lot of
your head, and
things.
they put you in an orange.
No, but
jumpsuit.
my first day, like when I got my bond revoked, I was
Yeah.
chained and
They
shackled.
put a ball and chain on your ankle. No.
Could be yeah.
My first day, I was chained and shackled and put in a van where I had to go in this van with like 6 other inmates to Rhode Island where the detention center was. And everything's so slow. Like when you go through processing, it's like 2 hours long, 3 hours long. Everything just takes forever. Going through the paperwork, going through the one phone call, going through fingerprints, and you're fed like a tray of cold food from whatever was left in the chow hall. And I just remember getting put in that cell. It was like a solitary cell that first night. And I was in there for 48 hours because they have to do your TB shot. And you can't go out into general population until that passes. But I just remember that feeling of being locked in there that first night. Not all your freedom's taken away. And that's, I think, a feeling that came to me when I was doing the MrBeast video. It was even harder during the MrBeast video because I could leave whenever I wanted, but there was so much at stake.
Yeah.
Was it surreal? When did the reality set in being in jail?
I would say after all the appeals got exhausted, like I always had hope that I was going to get a bail pending appeal, or I was going to win the appeal and go home. So that got me through like the first, I'd say 7-8 months. And then when everything got exhausted, you're kind of already adjusted to it. And you're like, okay, this is going to be okay.
What was your first night like?
First night I had a bunkmate that was like, he was a crack head or a crack addict who was detoxing, itching himself all night long, pacing the cell. I wasn't hungry and I couldn't sleep, so he ate my tray of food, and he was telling me all these things about what to do in prison, what not to do in prison, all of it completely false. But just kind of like bouncing
What was
around the
his
cell.
advice?
He was just like, oh, make sure you're sitting with just the white people, and you don't do this, don't do that. This is how you take a shower. And
Were you trusting of him at the time, or were you like, there's no way that what this guy's saying is true?
I was kind of scared of him because you're put into a cell locked. There's not like an emergency button or anything when you're in the cell. Like if this guy me or something, no one would find out like right then and there to save me.
Couldn't you have talked to a guard and said, "Hey, this guy's like on something, or he's coming down"? Like,
This
I don't
guy's
feel-
on something. He's not on something. He's clearly
but,
off something.
But it's just like I don't feel safe.
I guess you could have, but I was just in a fog. Like 1 minute I'm out free running the club, and then the next minute my bond's revoked, and I went in that courtroom not going home. I went there a free person and walked out in handcuffs.
What was the food like in jail?
At the detention centers, that sucked. There's like no seconds. That's like a tray of food. Wasn't the best. All the federal prisons have like a set menu, like a school lunch program that changes like quarterly. Like cheeseburger Wednesdays or hamburger Wednesdays. Every Thursday was chicken day. It's like a broiled burger. But depending on where they make it, like the food sounds good on the menu. If you pulled up the prison menu, which is available online, sounds great. But depending on the location that they make it. So say you're at a low security prison where they're feeding 2,500 guys, that food quality is going to suck. They're building it or they're cooking in a batch. But then when you get to the camp and there's 100 guys, the food was excellent. Bigger portions, it was well seasoned. We had a scratch bakery. I got to work in the bakery too, where we're having like fresh danishes and bagels and donuts and pizza. And then inmates cook their own food too, like make their own commissary items. Then there's the whole smuggling food. I mean, there would be nights that we smuggled in Chicago deep dish pizza in Wisconsin, sushi, chicken, burritos, everything like that.
So how was smuggling in prison?
So smuggling, I had just seen at first inmates like have cell phones and like Chinese food and stuff, like through the guards at the Lowe's. A lot of that comes through the guards. Now there's drones and everything that fly it over. But when I got the opportunity to personally smuggle in items was at the camp. And I saw guys running through the woods because there's no fence at the camp and there's only one guard before count or after count because they count you throughout the day. These guys would run across the field, run through the woods, and go to the local motel, have their wife or girlfriend pick them up, go to the motel and hook up with them. And they'd have someone at the camp keeping guard to make sure they don't call an emergency count or anything, and then they'd sneak back in. I would do that sometimes. I never left the actual grounds. I'd just run through the woods to the border, and I'd pick up bags. People would pay me to pick up the bags that would have cell phones, that would have food, that would have sneakers, weight equipment, anything, and then you just run it back.
How do people go to a camp versus a prison?
So camp it's set by point level. So if you have like 11 points or under, then you could go to a camp, and you can't have a dangerous crime. You can't be a offender. Age plays a factor. How many years you can't have more than, I think, 10 years to go to a camp. It's like, that's why they call it Club Fed. That's the make off of Club Ned, but it's Club Fed. It's a lot of, I would say, white collar criminals or low level drug offenses. And it goes by a point system based on your criminal history, your schooling, everything like that.
So what part of prison out of everything was the hardest?
I had a male prison guard almost.
For this episode that you're watching here, we had to probably cut out 30 plus minutes of it for the main release because we talked about Jack mentioned a lot of stuff here.
What about dating in prison?
There?
White knuckling, like grabbing the soap.
Do you like movies about gladiators?
We just can't put it out on YouTube because we know if we did, the whole episode is going to get shadow banned. That's why we have a membership. So if you want to see this entire video uncensored and Jack asking all of his questions that were a little weird, you could join the membership to see the full thing.
There we go. Okay.
What about this saying where if you go to jail, like you're supposed to beat up a guy, you know?
You have to prove yourself ever?
Right. It's like find the biggest guy and just kick his ass.
Well, I clearly didn't do that at the chow hall that day. That was my moment to do that, when I should have stood up for myself, but I didn't. But there are guys that do that. I hear those stories all the time, and I mean, it's a very real thing.
Should you have stood up for yourself?
100%.
In the chow hall?
Yeah, I caused I should have swung at the guy or not.
Actually?
Yeah, because my paperwork was fine. I wasn't in the wrong.
You should have hit him?
Yeah, I should have hit him right there.
Why? But I feel like he would have beat you up.
It doesn't matter. It's just you're proving that you have it in you. From there, I was looked at as like kind of like in a way, if you think about it.
And were there
as a target
repercussions of being the B word? Were there like things that happened?
Guys just trying to extort me. Like I was the white kid running around that didn't really run with anyone. So they're not gangs in like the lows. It's called a car. And the car is like who you're riding with, and that goes by the state. So there's like the New England car where it's like Connecticut, Massachusetts. There's the New York car. There's the New Jersey car. And I never ran with anyone. I was like just by myself. I didn't know how these politics worked. So when I started gambling, like playing dice and playing spades, and I had a contraband cell phone, these guys that have worked their way down from maxes or medium security prisons are like, who's this white boy running around without anyone, thinking like he's hot? And I didn't think I was hot shit. I just didn't really know what I was doing. I was just having fun. So they looked at me as like fresh meat, as prey.
What was the most fun thing in prison?
Fun thing, definitely it's sports. Or people are very into the sports. There would be sports teams like basketball league, softball league. I love playing softball at the camp, or basketball, and also spades, which is the card game that we play in prison, or CeeLo, 4, 5, 6 dice. We would play that all night for hours. That was a lot of fun.
Did you ever get used to the lack of privacy?
I think in the detention center is where you have the least amount of privacy because you have the group showers, where like you're literally showering, like it's like a YMCA type thing. And then also in solitary where you're literally peeing and pooping into the same toilet, as right next to your bunkmate. So you would have to make like a makeshift curtain sometimes, or you have no privacy in solitary. But then at like the camps and the lows, there's actual stalls or shower stalls or shower curtains. You have way more privacy in those scenarios.
Was that uncomfortable?
100%. There would be days like I would like, if I like really had to go to the bathroom, I would hold it in all night for them to pop the doors for breakfast, and my cellmate would walk out to go get breakfast. I would skip breakfast and use the bathroom.